Welcome to the Marketing Pulpit Show, and I am Robert Gatewood, your host. We are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good of marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. Now, if I happen to save a soul along the way, don't hold that against me. We'll just call that icing on the cake. Now, the mission at Marketing Pulpit Show is to build strong businesses in our community so that we can put our people to work. And we do that with business development, job creation, and service. So if you ever find yourself in a business crossroads and not sure which way to turn, just turn on the Marketing Pulpit Show because we're on a mission. The show is broadcast live from the illustrious Radio 1 studio. Welcome to the Marketing Pulpit Show, and I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and I'm here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel, not saving souls, saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. Yeah, I might save a soul every now and then. Hey, comes with the territory. My dad was a preacher, and some of that rubbed off on me. But I'm in a different type of business profession. I am a business developer. I save businesses, put people to work, try to dig us out of this economic conundrum we find ourselves in as a community. And I've been at this now for quite a while. Many of you have seen me on this show for the past 14 years, but I'm no stranger to the business development field. I've been doing this I did it in corporate America for about 30 years as my own business owner for several years, 20 something years. Sometimes there was some overlapping going on. I was doing both at once, but that's what it takes. You got to do what you got to do. Welcome to all the new listeners. Welcome. This is the Marketing Pulpit. I'm Robert Gatewood. I'm a business developer by trade. I have a company called Gatewood Marketing and Web. And I'm also a professor at Prince George's Community College in the DC area. As a matter of fact, I have a busy schedule coming up starting on, October 3rd, all the way up to December. I'm going to be teaching a variety of courses. I think the first one is going to be testing your business idea over at the Prince George's Community College. Then right on the heels of that, I'm teaching PR and communications. Then I go into networking. Then I go into digital marketing. Then I go into marketing strategies. Then I go into social media strategies. It's a long haul, so get ready. And I should be getting ready. But anyway, go to marketingpulpit.com. You can see my entire schedule. You might even want to sign up for some of those classes, particularly if you're in the DC area. But some of them you can actually register outside the DC area. So anyway, I've also written a couple of books, and I'm in the government space as a subcontractor with the Small Business Administration. So I've been doing this for a minute, just trying to fulfill my mission of building businesses and putting people to work so that our community can prosper. We don't have to be constantly walking around with our hands out. We can do this ourselves, but we need guidance. We need information. We need experts. And that's what I try to bring to this platform. You can find me also on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, Instagram, and all things Marketing Pulpit. We got an exciting show today. We're going to talk about, of all things, we're going to talk about a touchy subject today. Tipping. That's right, tipping. Last time you went to that store and they flipped that screen around, got a big old button up that says, how much tip you want to have? You want to add on to this order. So wait a minute. I didn't used to tip. Not for this. So we're going to talk about some of the rules of tipping. Feel free to join into the conversation. We're going to be talking about that later on. Man, I tell you, I just went to the store the other day. I said, wait a minute. The grocery store? I got a tip now? Maybe not the grocery store, but it seems like every time you turn around now. But I'm a tipper now, don't get me wrong. I tip. I'm not one of those folks. But it's starting to get a little confusing. We're going to sort it out coming up later in the show. We're also going to talk about some items in the news. And we just have a full show coming up here on this Marketing Pulpit Show. And once again, I'd like for you to join in. Just if you have a comment, just drop it in the feed and we will put you on the screen. I see Platinum over there. She's a funny lady. She has a entertainment group. And she's giving me some congrats. She said, I'm an awesome teacher. Thank you. She said, you'll sign up. Okay. I look forward to having you there. Platinum. Let's see. What is it? What is it? And we are back. And technology is great when it works, right? Anyway, thank you for hanging in there. As I was saying, let's go to the business directory and join if you haven't already. MPI.BZ. MPI.BZ and get your name in that business directory so I can shout you out and send people to your business. That's right. So we want to make sure we get the, we call that, don't complain about darkness if you're not lighting candles. So don't complain about not having business or sales if you're not doing everything in your power. All right, let's start out today with some items that are in the news. Also, we're observing things today. This month, we are observing Better Breakfast Month. That means lay off the high cholesterol, high fat, high sodium items. National Courtesy Month. Say thank you and please. I was brought up doing that. Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. Let's be aware of that and support people who are having that challenge. And Cancer Awareness Month to all the people out here, guys who are with those PSA scores, get those things checked out. And Self-Improvement Month. We can always, let's try to work on ourselves before we turn all of our attention on others. Also, let's support our new sponsor, D Live Scan Fingerprints Passport Notary Services out of in Mitchellville here. You can check them out at dlivescanmd.com. They're also in the Marketing Pulpit Business Directory. So if you are employment with child care and adult department, dependent care, conceal and carry, and you need that fingerprints and passports and whatever, check them out. They're on the Marketing Pulpit and they're featured on our homepage. Let's talk about the news. Boy, this breaks my heart. I'm tired of this. Last week we were mourning the departure of Frankie Babley. We also lost Earl Jones, Mr. Darth Vader himself. This week we're mourning the loss of Tito Jackson. Man, that one hits home. That hits too close to home. I'm telling you what. In the late 60s, early 70s. And at that same exact period, my brothers and I, the Gateway brothers, we were starting our little group at the same time. And we almost mirrored them brother to brother. My brother Joseph, he was in the same category as Jackie. My brother Aaron was in the same category as Tito. I was in the same category as Jermaine. Curtis was in the same category as Michael. Leon in the same category as Marlon. We all went way down the list, all the way down to the end, where the baby brother, Daniel, came in to replace one of the brothers. and like Marlon, like Randy came in to replace Jermaine when he left. Is so anyway, we were like, it's almost like they were our surrogate family. We followed them, not so much for their singing prowess, which they were very good, by the way, but because they were so much like our family, particularly in age and appearance. We had the fros and played the guitars. As a matter of fact, I'll be playing this weekend if I make it. Still trying to decide down in North Carolina where the brothers are asked to perform at a gospel concert. But anyway, enough about me and the Gatewood brothers. This is about Tito, and we're dedicating this show to Tito Jackson, also known as Torano Adaro Tito Jackson, born October 15th, 1953. He would have been 70 years old on October 15th. One of the founding members of the Jackson Five. We know them as the I Want You Back, ABC, I'll Be There, Don't Blame It on the Boogie, all the way down the list. I mean, what a phenomenal group. Tito played the guitar, much like myself and my brother Aaron, and they have been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. On September 15th, Tito suffered a heart attack. He was on a road trip with his business partner, and he was transporting some antique cars from California to his new residence in Claremore, Oklahoma, when he began sweating and complaining of chest pains. They flagged down a police officer. He was taken by ambulance to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Man, that's hard. That is really hard. I mean, it really feels like a family member because we have followed them so closely and they have mirrored our very large family. And so we just keep losing these icons. So we'll take a minute and let's pray for the family and wish them well. I'm sure the remaining brothers, Jackie and Randy and Marlon and Jermaine, and then the sisters, Janice, and the older sister, I keep forgetting her name, Latoya. What a loss. What a loss. And Tito was very down to earth brother, I could tell. He had 3 sons who had their own singing group. So, Tito, you will be missed. Good morning, Brother Brown. Welcome to the show. And anybody else want to put your name in the feed, we will shout you out. If you have a business, let us know what that business is. We're glad to send people your way. On the not so good news today, well, it depends on how you look at it. Sean Diddy Combs is in jail. He has been arrested. According to law enforcement sources, federal agents from the Homeland Security Investigations arrested Combs in New York City on Monday. And he faces charges of sex trafficking through coercion, transporting individuals for prostitution, and conspiracy to commit racketeering. That's some serious charges. Jesus Christ. Of course, his attorney says the charges would be that he is innocent of these charges. Well, that's what attorneys do. But I tell you one thing though, man, these rappers and they falling like dominoes. And I'm sure this indictment of P. Diddy has a lot of people peeping around corners these days. People are starting to go back and scrub their social media posts and get rid of those pictures where they all shimmy with Puff Daddy. Man, I'm telling you, this is hard to when you think about. I'm sure that a lot of people have checkered pasts, and many didn't think those pasts were going to catch up with them. But unfortunately, many people have had the opportunity to at least to try to right some of the wrongs they've done in the past. I mean, go help some orphans, build some schools, stop doing things that are illegal, stop beating people at the elevator. I think we all have a big sense of forgiveness, particularly in our community. But you can't keep doing the things that you were notorious for doing in the past. You can't keep doing them in the present. At some point, you got to change your ways. So if you're peeping around corners, I'm just going to say it's never too late to go straight, to go right, to do the right thing. Okay, what else we have in the news here? Well, some of the tech jobs are gone. They are disappearing. I know we've been telling our kids to get into the tech industry and do this and do that tech. Well, it's not that they're leaving, they're being consolidated into a fortunate few. Those that have multiple skills, maybe IT, security, artificial intelligence. Those folks are still getting paid. But the run-of-the-mill tech jobs, they're drying up. Man, and that's why you have to tune in to shows like this and talk to people. Because sometimes, particularly in our community, we're operating on outdated information. You can't just make a decision today where things are now without looking into the future. You have to know what the trends are and where things are going. Which is like buying stock. You can't just buy stock because it's hot today. The money's already been made. You got to buy it when it's just warming up. You got to speculate a little bit. That even comes to business decisions. You got to get knowledge and understanding and talk to some smart people. Whether you're an employer, employee, contractor, butcher, baker, candlestick maker. Let's see what Brother Bradley has to say this morning. Good morning, Brother Attorney Bradley Thomas. He says, I was just in federal court representing 2 clients who got stiffed by a famous rapper. See, I told you, can't be still stiffing people. I can't name the name due to confidentiality, but people who follow that genre would know who I mean. I think I got an idea, brother. Like I said, Brother Thomas, it's never too late to straighten up and fly right. I'm sure this guy was probably stiffing people a long time ago and probably just thought he'd never get caught. So just do right, people. Just do right. Okay. People know what's right and wrong. Last news item, the holidays are here for the stores already. Can you believe that? We're in September. We haven't even gotten to Halloween yet. And Walmart has just announced this holiday deals will kick off earlier than ever, like on October 8th. The same day as Amazon's fall edition of Prime Day. Man, these people got their hands in your pocket early, don't they? Well, if you keep paying them early, they're going to keep bringing it earlier. Next thing you know, they'll be bringing it out on 4th of July or Juneteenth. And of course, Amazon and Sam's Club, they're looking to raise their rates for the people they're paying, and they're looking to hire some people. Target is looking to hire 100,000 seasonal workers. So if you're looking for some summer, some winter pocket change, pay that extra bill while you're working on your dream. All right, now, I know you are. Nothing wrong with getting that little pocket change to keep things steady. Sometimes you need something steady coming in while you're working on that dream. So I ain't mad at you. All right, let's talk about, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, when was the last time you went to a store and they flipped that screen around? And before you can put in the amount, they ask you, do you want to put a tip in? And of course, if I'm at a restaurant, that's okay. But these screens are popping up everywhere now. And they're not like waiting at you. They're not coming to your table feeding you. You come in there to pick up the food. I mean, I go to pick up my food from Lido's. I called it in. I drove through the rain and snow to get there. I get over there, they flip the screen around, and there's a button that says, do you want a tip? I'm a tipper. But let's talk about it. This is the Marketing Pulpit. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. We're going to take a quick break. Think about that for a minute. Think about your tipping experience as we take this break. We'll be back in a moment. We're back. This is the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We're here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. Let's see. We got a lot going on today. Go to marketingpulpit.com, and if you're not familiar with the show, you can find the past shows right there on the home screen. You can flip from one show to the next. You'll see the thumbnail that describes the show. And if it's a topic that you're interested in or you need a little more depth, go ahead and check it out. Also, you can get the same information on YouTube, Facebook. We have some of the shows there. And also we have some snippets on Instagram and LinkedIn. And welcome to the listeners from all of the platforms. Thank you, Radio One, for launching this show with us on May of 2010. So that's 14 years ago. And we're still kicking. And we preach now on these different platforms. We're trying to keep up with this technology to reach more and more people. And we'd like for you to succeed as a business owner. I started the show for a reason. Too many businesses were failing. I worked in corporate America for many years, sat behind the desk in the smoky boardrooms with all these brilliant people, just information that most small companies can only dream about. So I decided to try to level the playing field. So when I left corporate America, I said, I'm going to bring that same energy, that same knowledge, that same experience, and help some of these small businesses out here. And I must admit, that has not been easy. I could have made more money by staying in corporate America. I still have gotten offers for people to try to bring me back into the office. Nope, I'm on a mission now. My goal is to help small businesses. And of course, I get paid. I have some small clients, but I have some big clients too, including I work in some government agencies, some national companies. But my mission has never changed, wavered. I want to level the playing field so the small businesses have a chance. It's not necessarily glorified work. It's hard work getting down in the trenches, rolling up sleeves. But anyway, you do what you do. This is what I do. Let's talk about our topic today. I did go to Subway the other day. They right across the street from my office. I was hungry, man. Man, I was tasting that sandwich before I got there. Someone get me that turkey sandwich. They spray that little teriyaki sauce on it, sweet and sour sauce, and some mayonnaise. Toast it, put some provolone cheese on it. They throw in that, put on that little tray and slide it in the oven. You can smell it, you can taste it before they even give it to you. And then you sit there and they say, what do you want on it? You say, give me some of them lettuce, some tomatoes. Throw a couple of green peppers on there. Light mayonnaise. Some of that sweet and sour sauce. Cut in half for me. Drop in that little plastic bag and bring it to the counter. I grab me some chips off the rack behind me. Give me that cup. I want the full meal deal. First thing, I'm shocked at the price. But anyway, they swing the screen around And the cashier, who was also my server, I guess, she standing there staring right at me. And that thing said, "How much you want to tip?" I'm like, I'm under pressure all of a sudden. I'm like, wait a minute. This ain't normally, I hadn't been there in a while now. Cause I eat a lot of places. I hadn't gone to Subway in a while. This was new. But the person is standing right there staring at you. And so you got to literally say, no, I'm not tipping you. At least when you're at the table, you got a chance to think about it. You get a little more anonymous. Well, and you can't go to the next screen. You got to say something. So on this particular day, I'm afraid I said no. I was not prepared. Got my sandwich, went down the road, gobbled it down, but it stuck with me. That stuck with me. And I realized I started seeing this more and more often everywhere I went. Not everywhere, but a lot of places that didn't normally ask for tips, or at least not so aggressively, are now asking for tips. Some are more subtle than others, but that little screen they flip around, that thing is everywhere now. So that's something to think about. Also, if this happened to you, you go out, you eat, you have a good meal, you say to yourself, man, they bring you the tab, you say, man, it's a little high, but man, you got people around you, so you can't be sitting there looking cheap. Like, hey, hold on, let me go down this list item by item. So you're trying to be the boss, right? You flip out your card, but it's always in the back of your mind. It's like, man, that seemed like a lot of money. You get in the car, and when you're in your all back, when you're privately, you can kind of check things out. You realize they had added the tip already. They had added 18% to your bill, and you done gave them another 20%. Oh, the Lord have mercy. This tipping has gotten out of hand. I got to talk about this. I got to talk about it. And then finally, I'm sure everybody has been out for that person that don't tip, who doesn't tip anybody for anything. They're like, hey, I've already paid for the meal. I ain't going to be paying for your workers too. Or that person that pays $1. But they've been paying $1 since Jimmy Carter was president. Doesn't matter how much inflation goes up, they're going to pay $1. You can relate. I'm sure some of you all can relate to what I'm talking about. But anyway, let's talk about this tip thing, okay? A report came out that says Americans are spending about $500 a year on tips on average. And many are feeling pressured to do so. They feel like they got to tip whether they want to or not. And tipping is such a hot topic nowadays that even the presidential candidates have chimed in on it. Matter of fact, Vice President Kamala Harris and the former president both have said they want to make a rule so that tips aren't taxed. That's a tongue twister for you. Now, since the pandemic, we've all been kind of felt a little pressure to tip generously. I mean, after all, somebody's risking their lives to bring you some chicken wings and mumbo sauce. So you're going to tip them. You're going to tip them very well. Now that the pandemic has kind of subsided, those workers, their expectations have not subsided. They still want their tips. And they want you to be generous too. So when you confront it with that tip screen, what do you do? Do you always tip, no matter what? What the service? Do you not tip for takeout? When you visit a full service restaurant, you get great service. Do you pay 15%, 18, 20, 25, 30, 40? What do you do? Well, let me start the conversation by saying I'm a good tipper. And I hate to say it, but in our community, we have a notorious, in most cases, unjustified notion that we don't tip. And sometimes you're getting service based on somebody else is not tipping. So it's that old, you get into those, which come first, the chicken or the egg scenario. Am I not getting good service because we have been labeled as non-tippers? Or are we non-tippers because we have been traditionally not getting good service? We can go back and forth on that all day. But anyway, bottom line is, I generally tip. And I tip well. Now, what is the standard tip amount? Now, most of the industries that you normally expect to pay a tip, restaurants, hotels, bars, salons, taxis, places like that. And experts say generally between 10 to 15% is a standard tip, particularly on something that costs a few bucks. For ride sharing services like Uber, Lyft, the experts are saying between 3 to 5% and up. In other words, everybody's not paying 15%. And really, when they first started out, it wasn't that big expectation of a tip. This, like I said, this tip thing is evolving. Spas and salons, 5 to 20%. That's a lot of range, right? Restaurant service, pretty much standard 15 to 20% of the bill. Most people are saying don't pay under 18%. I usually pay 20% and up. Sometimes I round out the bill. I might drop a 10 or a 20. I'm not a baller now. I'm just saying. I'm looking at folks that look like sometimes they could really use it. Bartenders, $1 to $2 per drink, or 15 to 20% of the bill. Bellhops, about $1 to $2 per bag. Taxi drivers, about 15 to 20% of the fare. Those are some standard tips. But things, like I said, have gotten a little out of hand, a little murkier since more industries now are expecting tips and encouraging their patrons to tip. Things that you didn't pay tips on in the past. Personal trainers, baristas, and coffee shop workers. When you go to Starbucks now, get a good latte, you expected to drop a tip. The people that wash your car, change your tires, house cleaners and gardeners. And see, the reason I'm talking about this is because some of these things hadn't even occurred to me, that some of these people may be expecting tips. Not because you've given them a tip in the past, but because things are changing. And I think, like I said, a lot of things changed. At least the attitude towards tips changed during the pandemic, when people were really literally risking their lives to serve you. Event people like DJs and photographers, everybody now, for better or worse, I'm not going to say everybody, but many people now, for better or worse, are expecting a tip. And if you're not sure, if you get good service, I say do the standard 15 to 20%. But that 5% that Americans are paying, many of them feeling pressured to pay right now, that number is going to go up, because now with technology, they're putting it on screens, on apps. It's just a tip of a button now, just a programming change. Hey, put that tip option on the screen now. Now, what about you business owners? How is this impacting you? Are you going to add that payment tip option to your screen on your app? Should you? Let's talk about some of the pros and cons. Well, first of all, you're going to get more tips, probably, by providing a prompt for customers to add a tip. It definitely makes things more convenient. You're not looking for, you're not asking, you're not trying to calculate the amounts. And it is part of the social norm now. People are tipping more. So as a business owner, putting that prompt on your screen might be a good idea. It's definitely going to help make you're going to be lionized by your staff, but you may be demonized by your patrons. Because some of the cons, it does cause some discomfort. Just like when I went to the subway, they flipped that screen around. I felt I was bogarted. I was bum rushed. I was caught off guard. I was not expecting that. Especially the person standing right there staring at me. So you basically, by saying no tip, it's almost like you're slapping the person in the face. And some people perceive this as a greedy, of the money grab. They're like, wait a minute, I'm paying for the food. You got to pay for the bag now. Now I got to pay a tip. My goodness, I might as well just stay home. Also, when you that little prompt, when it's the end of the day, working out those tips sometimes by the business owner can get a little tricky. It's like, who earned that tip? If they put it on that electronic screen, was it the server? Was it the person that made the sandwich? Was it the person that walked it over to your table when you were sitting there waiting on it? So it can get a little murky. Mr. Brown says he tipped very well. Thank you, Mr. Brown. He tipped the people that come to his house. Mr. Brown, I'm with you on that. I'm a tipper too. For better or worse, I do tip. And I try to make up. I know it's not my duty, but I'll tell you what else happened too, though, with what's happening here undercover. Is that, let's say, Mr. Brown, you're used to paying the 25 to 30% tip because you're paying the traditional people. You're paying the restaurant, you're paying the guy that comes out to cut your grass, or the lady that comes to cut your grass. But now let's say you got to start paying the water boy who brings you water. You got to pay the barber. You got to pay the person at the grocery store. You got to pay the person at the Target. Can you still pay that 20, 25%? Or do you now have to spread it around? And that's the calculation I'm doing right now. I'm going to continue to tip. No joke. But I'm starting to notice that there are areas that where I haven't been tipping, I may have to start tipping. Can I keep that pace up? Can I pay 20, 30% to 50 people? I mean, that's a calculation we got to kind of work out. And Platinum says, yes, she's a tipper, but she's with me. It's getting out of hand. You got to tip everybody. You got to that $500 a year that people are tipping is going to quickly become 1,000. And the last topic we're going to talk about before we get out of here is, what about these people that put the tip automatically on your bill? Now, some of the reasons this might happen, I'm telling you, it gets me every time. I'm more conscious of it now because I've been stung a few times, and not that I didn't want to tip, but I ended up tipping twice. So if you're in a large group, or if you got a very large check that bill, because there is a possibility that they added the tip to the bill. Just look down at the bottom. You're getting your credit card out and you're getting ready to sign, and you don't have to go line by line, which is not a bad idea, depends. But look at that bottom line and see if that tip has already been included. And I think they're not being transparent enough in many cases. If you're doing like a special event or a promotion, you bringing a wedding party in there, you bringing in, you had a carved out a little section of the building, sometimes that tip may be added already when they bring out the bill. And when you go to certain upscale restaurants, they may include the tip because they're trying to uphold their level of service. And that prevents any misunderstandings or disputes over the tip. So there will be instances where the tip will be added to the bill. Now, the pros of that, of course, is that it makes sure the staff get their money. It simplifies the payment process. You're not sitting out haggling and trying to figure out what it costs. And it prevents a misunderstanding. Now, the cons are that it does wreak lack of transparency. If you're going to add 20%, 15%, 18% to my bill, you should tell me. When you bring that check out there, don't be sneaking it under my glass and sneaking away, knowing you added 18% to my bill. The darn bill was already $150, $200. Now you've added 20%, 18%, and didn't tell me. I may want to give you 30%. But that to me is one of the downsides of that. It lacks transparency and it limits your flexibility. And if the staff is going to get 18%, whether they do terrible service or not, what's to motivate them to give you excellent service? Anyway, it was on my mind today because it's something that we're all going to have to navigate going forward. If you haven't dealt with it yet, you will. So the next time you go out, whether it's out to food, whether it's going to a restaurant, picking up your takeout, just know, like I said, this is not your dad's Oldsmobile. This is not your dad's tipping scenario. So whether you're a politician, a barber, a beautician, a business owner, or whatever, just know that tipping is going to be the topic of conversation in the days to come. In these barbershops, in these hair salons, on social media, on campaigns. It's not going away. And if you want to stay abreast of what's happening, then stay right here. On the Marketing Pulpit Show, I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We are here every Friday. We tackle these topics right along with you. And thank you again for your feedback. You've been a great audience today. And we're going to tune out. I'll be back next week. And if you have a business, don't forget to get into the business directory. And as I close out each show, if you want to be successful, you have to do these three things. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you have to do it right. Enough talk. Let's get to work.
One cup of greens per day will lower your risk of dying from heart attack or stroke by 30%. Hallelujah. A half a cup of beans every day will drop you down by another. One cup of greens per day will lower your risk of dying from heart attack or stroke by 30%. Hallelujah. A half a cup of beans every day will drop you down by another 30% because of the fiber and the medicines in the beans will sweep away the cholesterol and the saturated fat.